In 1620, while the Mayflower was in Provincetown, 18 of its men sailed in a small shallop, searching for a place to live. They came to present-day Eastham, where they were met by a group of Nauset. After a brief but violent encounter, the English left towards today's Plymouth. In 2020, we remember this first encounter. We explore its meanings for today and tomorrow.
Welcome everyone to the Eastham 400 Sunset Series. Tonight we have an interview with Melanie Roderick. She is the teacher of the Wampanoag language at Mashpee High School. Welcome, Melanie.
Thanks, John.
Can you tell us? I'm sorry?
Happy to be here.
Thank you. We're happy to have you. Can you tell us the brief history of the Wampanoag language and its restoration?
Sure. Wampanoag is part of the Algonquian language family, which is the largest native language family in North America. So it is comprised of about 33 separate individual languages, and within many of those languages there are different dialects. So for Wampanoag, we have two different dialects, the mainland and then the island. So folks out on Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket, there's some differences in how, words that they use, but minor, definitely still understandable, which would be the case with a lot of the other languages in the language family. Understandable, but, differences depending on the region. Wampanoag was, since been spoken since, the common ancestor of Algonquian languages is called Proto-Algonquian, which separated into three subgroups, and then Proto-Eastern Algonquian is the parent, I guess you could say, of our language. And that was spoken, no one knows exactly for sure, but a few thousand years ago-ish, three-ish, maybe 1,000 years ago. It's, a ways back. So we stopped speaking our language, or the last fluent speaker that we know of died approximately 100 years ago. And we had still some folks that were using language here and there, things like prayers, little bits were maintained in our communities, all the way up until 1993 is when the Wampanoag Language Reclamation Project was formed. And that's when, a more concerted effort to get our language back into regular use was started. That was started mainly by Jessie Little Doe Baird, who many people are familiar with. But she sort of went around to the Wampanoag communities, particularly elders, and asking folks if having language back in our communities is something that interested people. She took that step first before pursuing it further, and it was pretty much unanimous that, everyone was interested in that, which is rare. Hard to get a unanimous decision with a big group of folks. So that's, kind of where it started. Her journey, through MIT. We have currently 3 MIT trained linguists today, working on the project, really 4, if you count a non-native professor who's at MIT. He does definitely help us out quite a bit. Norman Richards is his name. And Jessie met him when they were students together when she was there in the 90s. And so, our speaker base went from 0 to, somewhere around maybe, I don't know what the number is exactly, but maybe around a dozen pretty, speakers that do well, can hold conversations anyway. But it's definitely a work in progress. So we're on our way.
Great. Well, how is the language taught today in Mashpee? I know we have the preschool and we have it in the high school the last few years. And what's your role in that?
Like you said, I do teach at the high school. We started offering 4-credit language classes at the high school 3 school years ago. So that's a great project in collaboration with Mashpee Public Schools. It's awesome that they support what we're doing. They're very supportive and on board and willing to help do what's necessary to get approval through the state and whatnot, for that class to be a 4 credit class. We use a variety of different language learning techniques like you would see in other second language acquisition. The youngest, the preschoolers, obviously they're not, looking at workbooks and, translating sentences and things like that. So they're learning the most natural way, just from listening and understanding, just like a baby, and then picking it up as they go. And it's really amazing to see the little ones, because they're just so much faster in their language acquisition. But yeah, in the high school, and then with our community classes that we have in the evenings that are open to any tribal members and their household members. We also have elders language classes, which you mentioned. That's a combination of sort of immersion style learning, where you, like the little kids, you're hearing something, and you're needing to try to respond and understand, and then also sort of workbook style, more, translating sentences, exercises, knowing the particulars of the grammar. All that is also done at the high school. That with our mixed age groups, those sort of questions come up naturally as you're just learning things. People want to know why you say it like that, and why is that different than this. So we try not to have too much grammar focused learning, because it can intimidate a lot of people, except for us nerdy linguist types.
Do you have any idea how many people between the elders and the preschoolers and the high school kids are learning it right now?
Probably somewhere around between around 150 people, I'd say.
Wow.
I know just in the public schools, between the high school classes and the kids that we have had for lunch bunches and after school programs, just that group of kids is about, I want to say 60 something young people. And that doesn't count Makai Sakwiku, the preschool, so that's a good chunk. And then there's various classes being taught. Some classes up in Boston are being taught. Online now, since our shutdown, I feel like we even have more sort of community classes and more people being reached. I know Camille Madison, who's one of our Montessori teachers, she's been teaching classes online since I think April, and she's been getting folks from Aquinnah that have moved and are all over the country. So otherwise they wouldn't have access to language classes. So that's awesome.
What's your hope, or what's the hope of the tribe for the future of language instruction?
Well, our goal has always been to, get our language back to the point where it can be used as principal means of communication by our folks, folks that choose to do that. And, a lot of people, even our own folks or others will, oh, well, what's the point? English is everywhere. It's global at this point. English is really important, which, yeah, of course it is. But, you get a whole different worldview when it's not just saying words in a different way. It's a different way of viewing the world that I think is important for our folks, and for anyone really, just recognizing that, how important it just seems like words and getting your point across, but in reality it's how you think, and it's how you process your thoughts, and to do that in a different way that's very different from English. It feels, a lot of folks, I feel like it feels homey to them, because it's things that maybe they instinctively knew about how we view the world, but then you can, put it in more concrete terms when you actually have the words and the thought processes of our language.
And now with the preschool at the community center, we will have a whole new generation of people speaking it, where there were several generations where it wasn't, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're critical. All of us adults can go to school as much as we want and sit around and discuss grammar, but if we don't have young people learning, it would be all for naught. So yeah, that's opening a school has definitely been our goal for 20 years, and we've done that, and it's going really well. And so it's just, yeah, that's our focus, is to keep moving those young ones along, so that they can be our teachers someday.
Well,
You know.
that's great. Thanks a lot, Melanie, for telling us all about that. It's a great project, and appreciate your work in it and your time and sharing it with us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Okay, you're welcome.
My name is Joanna Hollick. Thank you for your support of the Sunset Series and Eastham 400. If you're interested in supporting Eastham 400 efforts by purchasing commemorative items, we do have several items for sale on our website, eastham400.org. We are selling gold foil First Encounter ornaments, t-shirts with the Eastham 400 logo, and montages made by a local artist. The ornaments feature an image of the shallop and come with a special description card. The t-shirts are available in light blue, navy, and ash gray, and in sizes adult small through 3XL. The montage depicts watercolor images of important historic and well-known landmarks around the town of Eastham. Each of these items are $20. Thank you.